Hello, as you can see from the title, this video is basically my rant/complaint about Davi Vasc, who became a music composer for video games in 2014 and has been doing it full-time since 2017. There are 7 main points. If you don't want to hear me whining, you should probably stop watching now. Number 1. My biggest complaint about him is his reaction to Primordial beat Pristine beat, DDC's extra stage boss Reiko Horikawa's theme. He reacted to it on his 15th listening to game music live stream.
It's Jover for Touhou. Primordial Beast. I think it's this one. With Touhou is kind of difficult to tell. It's over. Yeah, it's over. And this is not a very long song. Also, I can listen to I'm going to the tracks. At the top. Oh, this one here. I'll go the bitch. Focus on the back. I'll really cool. Let's go back. Back to the ball. I'll pass. I'll pass. I'll pass. This is not good. This is not a good track. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I don't get this one. Based. Based. I don't get this one. Rip Touhou fans. I said good things about the previous Touhou one. Too much Zumpits. Yeah, I don't feel anything. This one's kind of mid. How did it win though? The present track is composed the way it is for a reason, as it pertains to who and what the character is. It's one of the weaker Touhou X themes, but the boss fight is it's fun at least. The thing with this track is the drummer, Yokai, and he tried to focus on the drums. Oh, so that's the gimmick of this track. Oh, I could hear, I didn't notice that. I noticed, oh my god, what is it called? Taiko. There was a taiko drum, which is a Japanese drum. Yeah, see, there's some taikos. Listen to the taikos. Okay, yeah, well, so at least I can appreciate that about this song. That's why it's good to have you guys here too, to explain this stuff to my Davi brain. So it's like the character is playing the taiko drum. I guess it's the boss you're fighting is a drummer. They might have needed more emphasis on the drum, I feel. Yeah, I agree. What's this? I think it's a PC series. Yeah, there's no PC. Sparkleborn says, as a matter of fact, Davi, the battle, more than any other, is designed to this music. Yeah, I've heard that's how ZUN works, right? Okay, this has been going on for 5 minutes, so I think it's good.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I really dislike how dismissive Davi was toward the track. I know everyone has their preferences, but I expected that Davi, as a music composer, would give a song more chance instead of shitting on it just because he didn't like it on the first listen. What would he think if I listened to one of his tracks from the Koreman Ost and said, yeah, this is S. I don't understand this song. I don't feel anything. Also, Why couldn't he realize that the main focus or gimmick of the track was the taiko drum? Even without knowing the context, he should have noticed that. Why was he getting distracted by the chat instead of actually listening to the track? Then he was agreeing with someone who said they might have needed more emphasis on the drum. To that, I'd say, the drum was already there from the beginning, and you can hear it clearly. There's even a part that emphasizes the drum around 2 minutes and 38 seconds into the track. I also disliked the part when he said "how did it win though," referring to the vote for which track to listen to on stream. Apparently, shitting on a track he doesn't like isn't enough, he also has to question the taste of the people who voted for it. I guess if a song doesn't perfectly match his taste or impress him on the first listen, he thinks it's not even worth listening to. What a respectful person. Moving on. Number 2. This complaint is a smaller one. It's about the time he listened to the Great Fantastic Underground Railway Network, the extra stage theme from Unconnected Marketeers. It happened during his 17th listening to game music live stream.
So let's go Touhou. The Fantastic Underground. Bye bye Paul. Thank you Hen for the super chat. Hen really wants to see me fart with my hands. Respect, respect. Is that F in the chat for the Paul? Deep flute. That. I wonder if this is a cover or a remix or something. Because the choice of instruments seems kind of unusual for ZUN. The Touhou drums. Okay, this is like a 6-minute song, so I think we're good. We've heard 4.
He didn't say much while listening to the track, but he did say something that caught my attention. I wonder if this is a cover or a remix or something, because the choice of instruments seems kind of unusual for ZUN. If you didn't know, ZUN has used a wide range of hardware and VST instruments over the years. According to the Touhou Sound Sources spreadsheet, these are the instruments used in the Great Fantastic Underground Railway Network. I can't say for sure why David thought the track was a remix or a cover, because I can't read minds, but I'm guessing it was because of the newer instruments ZUN used, like the Elementic drum kit. This just shows how little understanding Davi has of Touhou or ZUN's music. That wouldn't be a problem if he didn't act like he knows a lot about Touhou when he clearly doesn't. Next. Number 3, Davi listened to Antinomy of Common Flower's version of Catastrophe in Viagra Wonderful Heaven, arranged and performed by Tokyo Active Needs, a Doujin group that primarily performs jazz-style arrangements. He listened to it during his 20-second listening to game music live stream, where he also said something I massively disagree with.
Wonderful Heaven. How many Touhou songs we had today? Yeah, 2 with this one. And immediately, again, I can tell this is a Touhou song that's very different from usual Touhou. Actually sounds a little bit like Mario Kart. It has that big band kind of feel. It's weird that the 2 Touhou songs we heard today had very little to do with usual Touhou. Ghost says, despite how different the Touhou songs are, it feels like it's always recognizable that they are Touhou songs. I don't think so. I don't think I would know that this is Touhou. Signa says they all sound basically the same to me. Even these ones, Signa, these ones sound very different to me. Look at this. This is good. This could easily be one of those big band jazzy Mario Kart songs. Right? Don't you imagine you choosing your character before going on a Mario Kart race? Or even like the race itself. Crimson says the .5 games always had a bit of a different musical approach, in my opinion, but it's still good. Abramo says this is good, as in being good is a characteristic that Touhou music lacks by definition. I mean, usual Touhou music is good, I don't know, the first 3 times you hear it. Then it becomes just very repetitive. I don't think Touhou by definition is bad, it's just very, very repetitive. Tommy says, sounds a little too jazzy for Touhou. Yeah, I agree. The other Touhou track we heard was based on a regular Touhou song. Is this one as well based on a regular Touhou song? I wonder. I feel like I almost can recognize like a Touhou melody in this. Tainted says, the original is from 10.5 and it was composed by ZUN. I can almost, like at some points, recognize the characteristic ZUN-like melody. Locus says, this is made by ZUN. Yeah, but Tainted says it was arranged by a different person. This is a 10-minute song. We're approaching the 6-minute mark. What's going on today with you guys in the 10-minute song? We're approaching the 6-minute mark, so we're gonna...
First of all, Davi, What the fuck are you talking about? Why would you say usual Touhou music is good the first 3 times you hear it, then it becomes very repetitive, and I don't think Touhou by definition is bad, it's just very, very repetitive. Again, I want to clarify that I understand people have their own opinions, but you cannot convince me that Davi isn't biased against or uninformed about Touhou. He knows so little about Touhou because he's only listened to the official game soundtracks and a few tracks from fan games, yet he acts like he is some kind of a professional Touhou music critique. This makes me so mad that I want to show a couple songs, specifically the ones that quote-unquote, don't sound repetitive after the first 3 listens. Unfortunately, I can only play 3 songs, otherwise this video would end up way too long. By the way, I know one of the songs I just showed isn't from Touhou, but I want to show it anyway. Number 4, this is still related to Antinomy of Common Flowers' version of Catastrophe in Bavayagra Wonderful Heaven. Remember when he said,
and immediately, again I can tell this is a Touhou song that's very different from usual Touhou. Actually sounds a little bit like Mario Kart.
This is a comment from a Touhou fan in the livestream's comment section. It's a pretty long comment, so I'm not going to read it. Pause the video if you want to read it yourself. I agree with the comment. Imagine saying something so bad that even the people who usually defend and find excuses for you can't do it anymore. I'm confident in saying that if Davi heard the original Catastrophe in Bavayagra composed by ZUN, he would have been dismissive toward it, probably saying something like, "It's just another usual Touhou song, it's so repetitive." Which is the opposite of how he reacted to the jazz-style arrangement of the same track. Next, number 5, Davi has said that Touhou boss themes sound similar, while stage themes have more freedom. That's a statement I can somewhat agree with, but Davi himself has confused boss themes and stage themes a couple of times, which contradicts his own point. This is shown in his 2 most recent Touhou videos.
Just there. This is a stage theme, by the way. Cool. Man, I feel like I tend to enjoy stage themes in Touhou a little bit more. The boss themes, which are most of the themes that people recommend to me. The boss themes are cool, but I've said this before, they tend to sound a little bit similar to each other. And you know, that's both a good thing and a bad thing. I feel like ZUN with these Touhou songs has managed to create such a unique style, man. That impresses me every time. You hear a Touhou song, you absolutely know it's Touhou. That's something very valuable and a very difficult thing to do. So I feel like when artists are able to develop a unique style like this, they latch onto it and they keep repeating it over and over and over to perfect that style. That can sometimes result in some songs sounding a little bit similar to each other. That being said, I feel like stage themes in Touhou is where ZUN, I feel like, allows himself to things that are more different. Like, listen to the harmony on this one. You guys know I keep talking forever about that one chord sequence that ZUN likes to use in all of his tracks, or most of his tracks. He's not using it here so far. But still, even though it's fast, I feel like it has a different vibe than the boss tracks. Stage themes tend to feel a bit more relaxed. Oh, the piano. It's a really cool ostinato. And then this is what I was talking about before, about this song feeling more wondrous than usual to me. Doesn't it feel like you're going on a journey? Maybe that means... I almost want to say maybe that means it's a stage theme, because you know, there's a sense of journey to it. But I think it's too soon to tell. We'll see.
What I'm showing here is a common misconception or stereotype that a lot of non-Touhou fans have, which is Touhou boss themes always sound really aggressive, with crazy fast percussion, piano, and loud-ass trumpets. This isn't always true. Touhou boss themes can be emotional and slower paced, and on the other side, stage themes can be intense and fast-paced. For example, Unlocated Hell. This also applies to non-video game tracks, like those from ZUN's albums. If you think Touhou style music automatically means intense, fast-paced music, then please go listen to ZUN's albums. I can't really blame people for assuming every Touhou track sounds like intense boss themes, because boss themes are often tied to the characters, so they get more attention and are heard more often, but being uninformed is one thing, talking like you know a lot about Touhou while holding that kind of misconception is another. Moving on, number 6, this one is a bit nitpicky, but I'm so sick of hearing Davi mention the quote-unquote Touhou sequence over and over again. If ZUN uses it, he points it out. If ZUN doesn't use it, he still brings it up. Does a music composer have nothing else to say about Touhou tracks other than the quote-unquote Touhou sequence? Can we have more analysis like on the instruments, melodies, or anything else? Next, number 7, did you know that Vasc has a Patreon? There are 6 Touhou videos that are exclusive to Patreon. Someone asked him why he isn't uploading those videos to YouTube, considering the views he got from Touhou fans. He replied, "Unfortunately Touhou is very divisive. While there is a group of people that is crazy about it, another group is fed up with it and I started losing subscribers whenever I posted Touhou. But who knows, maybe one day I'll post this on YouTube if I feel people have come around on Touhou." So you're telling me that after getting support, from YouTube views to money, from Touhou fans, he doesn't want to upload more Touhou videos to YouTube because he's worried about scaring off the people who don't like Touhou? Also, ironically, the person replied, "Wow, rude. These people have no respect for the ZUN-pits, I hope they don't know that Davi shitted on Primordial beat Pristine beat." However, JC, who is one of the music gods on Davi's Patreon, explained why some of the Touhou videos on Patreon haven't been uploaded to YouTube. Music God is the highest tier of membership, costing $200 per month. 4 out of the 6 Touhou videos on Patreon were suggested by JC. JC basically said that the reason the Touhou videos he suggested aren't on YouTube is because he didn't ask Davi to make them public. The recent Remilia video was uploaded because it won a poll, and the Shoutoku Legend video was uploaded because it was suggested by another member. As for why he didn't ask Davi to make the videos public, he simply said, "Mainly because I was lazy." But this doesn't change the fact that Davi himself said he didn't upload those videos because he didn't want to scare off the people who dislike Touhou, despite receiving support from Touhou fans. I also want to talk about something that I know a lot of people will say I'm overthinking, but I still want to say it. Why hasn't there been a Touhou soundtrack live stream? In case you didn't know, Davi has done a few of these live streams where he listens to the entire soundtrack of a game just because, quote unquote, why not? He's done 9 of them so far, with the most recent one focused on Deltarune. I can already think of 2 main reasons why there hasn't been a Touhou focused stream. Firstly, money. If you can earn money by doing something, why would you do it for free? Assuming he listens to 3 Touhou game soundtracks, which would be around 51 tracks, that means he could potentially lose up to $10,200, if all of those tracks were instead suggested by Music God. Secondly, lack of interest. If it's not already obvious, it's clear that Davi doesn't really care about Touhou music, he only cares about the money he can get from Patreon members who suggest Touhou songs. Bonus point, I want to show this clip where Davi said something pretty dumb, which further solidifies my impression that he truly doesn't understand Touhou music. This happened when he listened to Memento of All Organisms' Memory of Fossil Energy during his 21st Listening to Game Music live stream.
Is it this one? Tommy says, yeah, Touhou. Guys, He's not spamming the Touhou sequence. This is actually very different for Touhou standards. This is a spin-off game, so I'm not sure ZUN actually composed this one. Wow! Didn't I just say he was not spamming? He was not spamming the Touhou sequence? I just said this sounds different for Touhou. If this is not ZUN, I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back for having an excellent musical perception. Final boss themes are always made by ZUN, so this is actually ZUN. Okay. And it's impressive. I mean, I haven't been paying full attention the whole time, but I haven't heard a single occurrence of the Touhou chord sequence. I don't think that's ever happened before in my Touhou listening history. Oisin says, guys, be fast, vote for Wonder Boy. Icy says, to be fair, ZUN has become more experimental in modern games. I do notice that. In instrumentation and in harmony, I do notice that. So this has been going on for...
This is basically what I was complaining about in point 6. Apparently, Davi's way of telling whether a Touhou song is composed by ZUN is just checking if the composer is, quote-unquote, spamming the Touhou sequence or not. Imagine being so uninformed about Touhou that you actually think Memento of All Organisms' Memory of Fossil Energy wasn't composed by ZUN, just because he didn't spam the quote-unquote Touhou sequence. Worst of all, he said it with a smug face and massive confidence. I guess the one good thing here is that we can confirm Davi doesn't judge a Touhou song by its instrumentation at all. That's all I have to say about Davi for now, but I actually have more things I'd like to talk about. Firstly, I want to apologize for the terrible editing. This is my first time making a long video like this. I especially want to apologize to my subscribers. I'm sorry for showing them this rant video. Secondly, I've counted all the Touhou songs Davi has listened to. There are 41 tracks in total, including both original and arranged tracks from fan games. 8 of them are YouTube videos, 6 of them are Patreon exclusive videos, and 27 were in YouTube live streams. Fun fact, he actually heard 2 Touhou tracks twice, which are the Entrusting This World to Idols and True Administrator. Yes, he heard True Administrator well before the YouTube video. If we exclude the fan game tracks and arrangements, that brings the total down to 35 tracks. With some rough calculations, I think ZUN has composed around 409 tracks for the official Touhou games and 41 tracks for other games. This include 35 tracks for the Seiho games, 3 tracks for Tort Le Magic, 1 track for Owabumi Breakers, 1 track for the Touhou fan game Magus in Mystic Geometries and 1 track for the Touhou fan game Touhou Unreal Mahjong. The total number of tracks ZUN has made for video games is around 450 tracks. Davi Vasc has listened to 8.56% of ZUN-composed Touhou tracks, or 7.78% of ZUN-composed video game tracks. That might sound impressive at first, but 25 of the Touhou tracks Davi has listened to are boss themes or character themes, which make up over 70% of the total. Take a look at this bar chart. I've sorted the tracks into different categories: title theme, stage themes, boss themes, ending theme, staff role theme, and others. You can see that 13 out of 35 tracks are Stage 6 boss themes and extra stage boss themes, which means these two categories alone make up over 30% of the total. Out of 25 boss themes or character themes, Stage 6 boss themes and extra stage boss themes make up more than half. These are all the ZUN-composed Touhou tracks that Davi has listened to so far. I have labeled them with different colors. Red for YouTube videos, green for YouTube live streams, and blue for Patreon videos. If you see a track you've always wanted Davi to react to, you can go watch it now. Just don't expect any detailed analysis, especially for the ones he listened to during live streams. Thirdly, I want to say something to all the Touhou fans who keep commenting under Davi Vasc's Touhou videos, hoping he'll listen to the tracks you recommend. I'm sorry to inform you, but it's just a waste of time. Davi does not take requests from YouTube comments. There are only 3 ways to get him to listen to Touhou tracks. First, become a Patreon member. This allows you to vote in polls or directly suggest a Touhou track. Second, join his listening to game music live stream, no super chat needed. Your track must receive enough votes for him to choose it. Third, join his listening to game music live stream, super chat needed. Sending a super chat does not guarantee your track request will be listened to. The more you spend, the higher the priority your request gets. If the stream ends before your track is played, you get nothing. If you want him to like Touhou tracks, give up. He has shown a dismissive attitude toward Touhou tracks composed by ZUN multiple times on stream. If you want to suggest him tracks from ZUN's album, thinking it will change his perspective on Touhou music. Also give up, he doesn't accept non-video game music requests. It's clearly stated in the description of his streams, I will only listen to video game music. No anime, movies, etc. soundtracks. This also applies to ZUN's arrangements. In Davi Vasc's Patreon exclusive video about Wind God Girl, he listened to the short version instead of the full version. Fourthly, I recommend watching and supporting other Touhou music reaction channels. I feel like Davi's analysis of Touhou tracks are getting more and more lazy, and since he doesn't show real interest in Touhou or ZUN's music, why not support others? I recommend these channels that listen to Touhou music recently: Jesse's Auditorium, Exotic Bankai Reaction, KitWY, and Drew Senju. Honestly, I think any channel that has reacted to Touhou music before is better than Davi Vasc. Fifthly, some people might say things like, oh, if you hate Davi so much, why don't you just stop watching him, or Davi has heard enough Touhou tracks to judge them. You're just obsessed with Touhou, that's why you think its repetitive music is good. Ignore the fact that I made those strawman arguments up, this is just a hypothetical situation. To the first argument, I would say, you're right, maybe I should just stop watching Davi Vasc. But I think the same should apply to Davi. He should reject Touhou related requests if he doesn't enjoy or appreciate Touhou style music. I feel bad for the Patreon members who want to suggest Touhou tracks, but that's just my opinion. To the second argument, I would say, no, in my opinion, Davi has not heard enough Touhou tracks. Most of what he has listened to are boss themes, and considering that he forgets the tracks he has heard during live streams, the number of tracks he's listened to doesn't really matter. I want to take this opportunity to show some other soundtracks that I enjoy. I can't deny that I'm probably obsessed with Touhou music, especially the tracks composed by ZUN, but I still enjoy a good number of other soundtracks as well. For some reason, I just don't really like the tracks composed by Davi. Don't get me wrong, I don't think his music,
by definition, is bad. It's just very, very
generic. When I listen to them,
I don't feel anything.
His music doesn't interest me enough to make me want to try out the games they're from. It doesn't make me feel like, this music is so cool, I want to check out the game, nor does it give me goosebumps, unlike the soundtracks I mentioned. But who knows? Maybe I'm too stupid to appreciate the tracks composed by a world-renowned video game music composer. Lastly, I want to show comments from JC and Krad Nosnatef, who are both music god tier members on Davi's Patreon. Krad Nosnatef suggested 3 Touhou videos on YouTube, and 2 Touhou videos on Patreon. I have their permission to show their comments. This is JC's comment. Pause the video to read it. And here is Krad Nosnatef's reply when I asked for his thoughts on Davi Vasc's Touhou content. He simply said this. Alright, this is the end. I'm sorry if you think some parts seem out of place, or I repeat some of my points too many times. That's because I didn't write a script for this video, I just wrote down my thoughts and let the TTS read it. I was going to talk more about some of the instruments ZUN uses, other than the romantic TP, also known as ZUN-composed. But that would make the video longer, and since I don't have much musical knowledge, all I can say is that I think these different instruments help define the style of each Touhou game soundtrack and ZUN's album. Just look at the Touhou Saihonyaku videos. Obviously, just using the same instruments that ZUN uses won't make a song sound like Touhou. You have to incorporate elements of ZUN's composition style to a certain degree, so it sounds like Touhou. For example, SD90 demos don't sound like Touhou songs at all, even though they use the same instruments that ZUN did. Davi Vasc said that Touhou music is easy to recognize, but he cannot identify ZUN's composition style. Nowadays, all he talks about is the quote-unquote Touhou sequence. If people want to argue that listening to 35 Touhou tracks is enough to judge Touhou music, or ZUN's music, then please tell me why Davi, as a video game music composer, cannot recognize ZUN's composition style. Davi should read the Touhou sound sources spreadsheet, or watch the videos that showcase the instruments ZUN uses, or actually pay attention to the tracks he listens to, so he doesn't say things like,
I wonder if this is a cover or a remix or something. Because the choice of instruments seems kinda unusual for ZUN.